Hey everyone, Wydeck welcoming you to Game 6 of a Best of 9 series from the Grand Final of the 2013 Acer Team Story Cup. And this time on Derelict Watcher, we've got spawning in the top right as the Red Terran, representing Team Axiom, and the last hope for them to get back in the series as they are down 4-1, we have Heart. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left as the Blue Terran with a commanding 4-1 series lead representing Team Acer, we have MMA. And it just seems like in this series everything is going really well for Team Acer. The duo of Innovation and MMA has thwarted basically all the attempts of Axiom. So it looks like we may be seeing some early game shenanigans possibly. As that SCV is moving out. Maybe we're going to see some barracks proxy. Yes, we are. Ah, the good old cheese play. Haven't seen this that much. And MMA is woefully unprepared, it looks like. He's getting a refinery first. He's going to be putting down his barracks. Interesting to see, but actually Hart has the barracks placement earlier than his opponent. So MMA is going to be slightly behind in that regards, but he does have the gas a lot earlier than Hart, so he can get to the factory or reactor or Reapers a lot earlier than Hart can. So that barracks is going to be finishing up for Hart. Be interesting to see what he's going to be doing with those resources. Oh, going for the tech lab. So we should be seeing Marauders coming out of the barracks very soon. And the last time there was a Marauder rush that I can remember, I believe it was Innovation versus Flash. And that was like 4 months ago or something. And it didn't work out for... I think Flash went for the Marauders, and it didn't work out for him. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I haven't seen a Marauder rush in a while. Oh, and with concussive shells on the way as well. So Hart is really thinking this could work out. And I mean, as a pro player, you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses of yourself and of your opponent. And if you think your opponent is much better at a standard macro game, then I don't think there's really anything wrong with just trying to spice it up with something different. You can catch your opponent off guard and, you know, get him out of his groove, because MMA has won 2 games in a row, so he does have the momentum for him. He is playing very loose. Now, it looks like he's going to be going for what he went for before, or it's very similar. Now, we do have that tech lab coming, so it should be Banshees instead. Now, we do have 2 Marauders ready. A third one will be ready. Now, Hart doesn't have a barracks at home, and so this is going to be very interesting, because once that Banshee comes, the Marauders can't really do anything. But these Marauders should be able to do some damage, able to pick away at these SCVs as well as some of these Marines. But the Marauders do not fire that quickly, and they don't have stim. And now one is in the deep red, and with the Marines on the high ground, they are going to be able to do a lot of damage to these Marauders. MMA is pulling off SCVs off the line, but now 2 of the Marauders are in the red. MMA is able to destroy one, and I believe the second one is going to go down as well. And now Hart is left with only 1 Marauder left, and Marauders don't do that much damage. So resources lost, even though it is a lot higher for MMA, it's not significantly higher to offset the fact that Hart lost a lot of economic time and went for this strategy. And now with that Banshee coming, Hart's got to get that Widow Mine out very quickly, otherwise he's going to have a lot of problems. And we do have an engineering bay coming online, as he was able to spot that starport. And it looks like it may be time to retreat. The Marauders are falling back, as well as the Marines being pumped out of that very far away barracks. And I guess that tech lab will be left out in no man's land. But the Widow Mines are out, at least one is, so Hart can place the Widow Mines. Interesting position choosing here to protect. But that first Banshee is going to come out of that starport looking for things to destroy. Remember, Marauders can't fight Banshees, obviously. But the Banshee is going to be looking for that barracks. Not able to see that barracks. Still looking for it. And now he's going to spot that tech lab, so he knows exactly what happened. The barracks is floating away very slowly, still about halfway from getting home. Now we do have 2 Widow Mines in position as well as the Viking, so that Banshee, until it gets cloaking technology, is not going to be able to do too much. That cloaking technology is almost finished. At the same time, we do have a reactor going up for that barracks for MMA. And it looks like Hart is teching up as well his starport and getting a second command center. So both players a little bit delayed from that little beginning attack, but if you take a look at the supplies, Hart is actually quite a bit ahead of MMA. So it'll be up to this Banshee to try and even things out. The Banshee is going to get into position now. We do have that missile turret there at the main. The Banshee is going to pick apart some of these SCVs that are on the periphery. But with that missile turret there, remember, detection range is longer than missile turret range, so the Banshee is going to have to fall back. Still able to pick away at these SCVs, trying to finish these unfinished buildings, so this Banshee is doing substantial damage. Able to pick apart some of these SCVs. So up to 7 kills, not bad. Not great, but not bad. 7 kills for Banshee, and that Banshee is going to decloak and save up some energy for the next roundabout. At the same time, the second Banshee has been deployed. So now the Banshee might be able to do 2 different attacks, attack from both wings, and it looks like this Widow Mine is going to go down. It is not going to survive. 1 more volley, and there we go. It does go down. Now, we do have a second Widow Mine, but it is going to be able to burrow, so that Banshee's not going to be able to deal with it at this current time. But these Marines are in no man's land, and there is a Raven as well. So the second Banshee does go down. Resources lost is fairly even for both players. And with the addition of that Raven, I think this other Banshee is not going to be very effective. So I think it is going to pull back, at least for the time being, for MMA. Supplies are fairly even. Both players are getting or have their second base up and running. So I think it's fairly close. Now, I think sending this Banshee over here is not a good move. Like I said, the Raven's here. I'm not sure why MMA was being extra aggressive. You can save the Banshee to provide additional support when you want to make a push. And it looks like MMA is moving across the map. He is a third way across to his opponent's base. We have Stim Pack started for MMA. And it looks like Hart will be moving across the map as well. Both armies are pretty scary looking. Now, Hart does have a lot more air support. He actually has Medevacs, Vikings, and Ravens. And MMA doesn't have any of those air units, so this is interesting to see. So MMA is going to be sieging up, waiting for those units to come into the crossfire. I think those Marines are going to get blown up. There we go. A lot of Marines are blown up immediately. So MMA, with very good placement of those siege tanks, able to kill 3 Marines for free. But like I said, Hart does have the air advantage. And now Hart is going to move into the main base of MMA. The Marines, some of the Marines are back in position, but not a lot. But that is enough to scare away Hart's drop attempt. So we do have 2 armies for MMA, 1 smaller army protecting his main and a larger army protecting the natural ramp. So Hart is trying to split the defenses, kind of like what MMA did in the previous game to Alicia. Now that medevac is still waiting for Hart just outside the main base, and it is finally going to have to boost away here. At the same time, it is dropping Marines to deal with 1 Marine. So the Marine does go down for MMA. Now Hart is moving across the map. He's still in the center of the map. He's looking for a way to poke through. Hart is being very aggressive. Supplies are still fairly even. And upgrade-wise, players, both players are even as well. But looks like finally MMA is going to be the more aggressive one here. Now he's kind of claimed map control. He is past the halfway point, and Hart is falling back. He is going to reinforce with more Marines and siege tanks. So it looks like we might have a draw here, a stalemate, as MMA does not want to push forward here. You have to be very careful here, because generally whoever has very good tank placement is going to win. And MMA is going to be sieging up here. A lot of Marines are blown up immediately from MMA. He doesn't have any Marines left, so Hart really won that confrontation. The supplies did drop for MMA. He is down by about 10 right now. And now with no Marines to support, the Marines can get dropped by the medevac without fear. And now MMA is going to have to boost away with his remaining medevacs and siege tanks. So Hart, with a very good confrontation there, able to do some significant damage to MMA. And MMA is now actually behind in regards to resources lost. Good confrontation by Hart. And it looks like he's going to be looking for some more blood as he moves his army across the map. MMA is going to recollect, but he only has 1 siege tank. I think he has 3 more in the medevac, so he has 4 siege tanks in his composition. But Hart has 5. But it looks like Hart is going to go for a huge drop. Now, this is dangerous because the Marine did spot all the medevacs boosting. So I think MMA knows exactly what is going to happen, and he is closer to his base. So MMA's defense is going to stop Hart's attempted drop. But Hart is just outside the ramp to MMA's base. He's going to try and corner him in. Siege tanks are in position. At the same time, the Marines have been dispatched to deal with that building command center, able to destroy it immediately. But at the same time, MMA is able to drop on Hart's 3rd command center, so both players losing their attempted 3rd base. So very even at the moment. I'm not sure why MMA is sacrificing those Marines. Probably a bad rally point, losing 4 Marines for nothing. And this is interesting. You know, MMA is fairly aggressive, but it looks like Hart is going to try and boost again into the base of MMA, but MMA is able to spot it. He's got a lot of Marines ready, and those medevacs are not going to be able to do that. And in fact, now he's just split up the army. He's going to try and drop on the siege tanks, kind of. He just dropped on the low ground. I don't know why he dropped them there. That was not a very good position to be in. So Hart did lose quite a few units there. I thought he was actually going to drop on the siege tanks, and maybe he thought better of it once he saw the incoming army, but then he kind of just dropped in between, which is even worse in my opinion. Now, at the same time, we do have an attempt to drop from MMA, but that is going to be thwarted by Hart. So both players going for drops instead. Now they're going to go for a big confrontation. We have a lot of Marines stimming into the attack. And it looks like all those siege tanks will be destroyed from Hart. He only has 1 left. The Marines are going to focus down on that last siege tank, and it will go down. And now Hart has only a few Marines left and no siege tank support. So that should send his army back to his base. He needs siege tanks. He's got a lot of Marines and only 1 tank to provide artillery support, and that is not going to be enough. Now we do have 3 Vikings in position, able to see those medevacs, able to destroy 1 full medevac, so Hart is going to be down a lot of supply, but finally the Marines are in the main production facility, but can they do enough damage with no siege tanks? The last one was taken down, and it looks like now the Marines have to focus down on those Vikings if they want to get away, because those medevacs cannot carry them away, and the last 2 medevacs are destroyed, as well as all the Marines. And now, if you take a look at the supply difference, I think that was a very bad drop attempt by Hart. I think that is going to seal the deal. MMA's got a commanding 40 supply lead. He's going to try and move across the map, but like I said, when you're down by 40 supply, I mean, you really need a very good attack where you're able to do so much more damage than your opponents just to get back in the game. Look at this. We got 6 siege tanks against 1. We've got more Marines for MMA. And this 3rd base is totally undefended, as MMA is going to ready up his siege line, able to pick apart a lot of these SCVs. And now Hart is trying to defend this 3rd base, but valiant as it is not going to hold up. All the Marines are going to be destroyed by all these Tim Marines. No siege tank firepower is going to be needed. Hart is going to tap out. And MMA is going to seal the deal for Team Acer. They're going to take the best of 9 series 5 games to 1. So very, very strong display by MMA and Innovation. One game won by Crank for Team Axiom. So the $10,000 prize is going to go to Team Acer. So very good games. Great games by Team Acer particularly. Great finals. It was very entertaining. But just the might, the Terran might of Innovation and MMA was just too much for Axiom. So very good. And I hope you guys found the cast enjoyable. And I hope to see you guys next time.